Casey here with The Efficient Classroom, and today we're going to be talking about how to create similar and congruent figures. So I'm going to start by inserting just a triangle. It can be any size, any shape. At this point, you will reformat it. I'm going to remove the fill because I'm printing worksheets and student activities. I don't want, one is probably good because this is a little big. When I shrink it back down and I print it, it's probably going to be a good thickness for the triangle. If you want to up it a little bit, depending on how you like your triangles. I'm going to start by creating a triangle. I'm going to move it a little bit, create just an irregular shaped. This is an acute isosceles. So we could play around with, all of the dimensions, get it how you want it. And let's say we're going to create a congruent triangle and we want it to be marked. So we've got, let's do angle, side angle. Okay, so I want to start by marking the angles with the little arcs in the corners to indicate congruence. So I'm going to insert a shape, and the shape that I want is the arc, and whenever you hover over it, you can see that it says arc. There's a similar one that's a curve, which you could use, but I find it a little trickier. So I like to do the arc, and basically what it does is it gives you, an arc of a circle. And so however big or small you want your arc to be, you can adjust it by moving it around the circle. You can adjust it by changing the size of the circle. I generally like to have it a perfect circle for the arc, and obviously this is way too big for a corner arc of my triangle. So I'm going to reduce this circle down quite a bit. I'm going to change the size of it. I'm going to do, let's just practice with a quarter of a circle. I also want the outline to be black so that whenever I print, I've not got color. I also keep adjusting the shape of it, so I want to get it to a perfect circle. I'm going to lock aspect ratio of that so that as I pull it in and out, it stays the same quarter circle of an actual circle. So let's do this top angle with one arc. So I'm just going to rotate it around and just kind of play with it until I see that it fits where I like it. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit and just bring this side down. So I'm not going to end up with a quarter of a circle after all. It's not perfect. It's a little off, but this is a pretty simple way to create that arc in the corner. Actually, I feel like I liked that angle of it a little better. Just being nitpicky. Now I'm going to mark this angle, but since it's a different sized angle from this one, I'm going to need two arcs here. So I'm going to copy paste this one that I've got and just bring it down and adjust it for this corner. And sometimes it just works out that it will be a good enough shape. Sometimes you have to adjust the sides. Now I want a second arc in this corner. So I'm going to copy paste again. And now when I go here to set it up, I'm going to adjust these to make these a little smaller. So we've got the same angle of the arc, so they look like they're kind of parallel arcs. And so there I have angle marked. I want a tick mark on the side of the triangle between those two angles. So I'm just going to insert a segment. It says line, but unless you put arrows on it, it's just a little segment. So I'm going to make it kind of perpendicular to the triangle's line. I'm going to make it black. Adjust the weight if you'd like. And when you zoom out, you will have a tick mark. If you don't like the size of it, you can just adjust that and the placement of it. And we have our triangle, one triangle marked angle, side angle. So if I would like to create congruent triangles, the first thing I'm going to do is highlight all of the items, and I didn't get all of them because you can see this arc is not highlighted. I didn't get a big enough space. Now I have, and then I'm going to group them by Control Group, or Control G is the group feature, and then Control C, Control V gives me copy paste. Now I have congruent triangles. These are pretty big though. I mean, if I'm not creating a worksheet that, or some kind of printable that needs them this big, I would need them to be resized. If you want to resize them, you need to grab both of them. I would go back to shape format and lock aspect ratio, because if you don't do that, whenever you drag it, if you're not dragging it perfectly down the diagonal, it will adjust the size and shape. So lock aspect ratio, and I have a whole nother video about lock aspect ratio and how helpful it is. And then I'm going to shrink them down at the same time so that if I'm creating a congruent triangle worksheet, and I can do, rotate it and, say, are these two triangles congruent? If so, tell me why. And the shortcut would be angle, side angle. Okay. Using that same idea, I'm going to delete this guy. I'm going to bring this guy back out. I can do similarity quickly and easily from that, just learning how to do congruent triangles. Similarity, angle, side angle is not a shortcut that can prove similarity. So we would need to do, this one would work because it's got angle, angle, which therefore the third angle is similar. Okay, so this one would work for similarity too. Side angle, side is another one, which I would, to show that, I would copy this tick mark. I would bring it down here. I would make it perpendicular to another side. Then I would copy paste, and then I would align those two so that we've got it marked with two tick marks to indicate that this side is not congruent to this side, but anything that is marked with two tick marks, it is congruent to. So for similarity, I would do the same thing that I did earlier, highlight everything, group it, copy paste it, and then let's make sure aspect ratio is on. It is now. Oh no, because I had to group these two. So I would shrink one down to one size and then another to a smaller or larger size. And you notice that my tick marks really shrunk with this. If you wanted to go back in and kind of make those bigger, because everything else stays proportional, but the tick marks can get pretty small. You could adjust that there. Now I have two similar triangles, and you could, again, like I was talking about with congruence, you could say, are these two triangles similar? If so, how do you know? And there's a lot that you can do once you know how to easily and quickly make those arcs in the corner, which can be a little tricky. I hope this helps. Make your worksheet and practice a little more efficient. Saves you some time. Have a great day. Bye.